Morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for the live Q&A session here on my channel. By the way, this is a brand new setup. I had to move everything around this weekend. Let me know if you can hear me okay, that you're not hearing the computer super loud. Anywho, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips and tricks and techniques and things that I do every day in my own voiceover business, and then we get together as a group, as a community, to chat about a topic or two. Every week on Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. But if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll, and that's generally the topic of today. But if you have a question about something else, then please put it in the comments, and either myself or someone in the chat will answer your question. Maybe all of us. And today's poll is, we're talking about Upwork today. We talk about Fiverr quite a bit. We talk about ACX a lot. We don't really touch on Upwork a whole lot. So I wanted to know if you have a profile on Upwork and how that's doing for you. So it looks like only 5% of you said yes and doing business regularly. And 14% of you said yes, but not seeing much traction. 14%, another 14% of you said yes, but I need to finish my profile. And then the vast majority of you said no, not yet. Okay, so I think we should probably go through what I have learned about Upwork, because I've had a profile there for years, for just about as long as I've had a Fiverr profile, which is coming up on about eight years now, I believe. And for those of you that don't have a profile yet, or perhaps are in the middle of building out your profile, and maybe you threw one up there a while ago and haven't been back in there because you're not seeing any traction, I'm hoping that something we go through today will either inspire you or maybe help you get across that hurdle, that speed bump, or maybe someone else in the chat can answer that question for you. But I think what we'll do first is I'll give you some of the basics, some of the things that I have learned in just working with Upwork. So we're going to go over to my screen here. Okay, so as with any freelance marketplace, not so much the pay to plays, because you can't really search for talent as a talent in most of the pay-to-plays. And when I say pay-to-play, I mean like voices.com, Voice123. But on freelance marketplaces, you can usually have a profile that will let you sell and buy. So you have the ability to search as either a buyer or a seller. So I would say set up your profile. But before you start setting up a seller profile, go in as a buyer. And you can do that on your dashboard here. If you look up at the search bar, you can search for either talent, projects, or jobs. So that means you can search as either a buyer or a seller. So as a buyer, you're looking for talent. So switch it to talent. And then I've already got voiceover in there, but if you start punching in words, much like Fiverr does, just like Google, it has the same sort of a search engine within that search bar. Obviously, it's a search bar. But it'll start pre-filling words or terms that are searched for most often. So if we're just typing in voice, we get voiceover, voice actor, voice talent, male voiceover, and YouTube voiceover. So those are some of the most searched terms with the word voice in it. And what I want you to do is to take note of these words, because obviously these words are being searched for quite a bit. So you want those words in your profile, right? So that way people can find you. So let's just try voiceover as one word maybe, and let's see what comes up. Okay, so if we type in voiceover as one word, you get voiceover artist, YouTube voiceover, Spanish voiceover, Swedish voiceover, and voiceover is two words. So again, make note of that. Voiceover as one word is being searched for. Let's try audio. Audio B is what I stopped at. But anyway, audiobook narrator came up. Audio editor, audio transcription, audio book, and auditor. Okay. Let's just finish that and see. Oh, okay, so audiobook editing comes up. Audiobook producer, female audiobook narrator. Interesting. I might be updating my profile today. So these are some great words to be sure if you do offer voiceover and audiobook production, to be sure to add these words if they apply into your profile. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is that when a buyer is searching for these particular freelancers, how those results are presented to them. So I've already got voiceover as my search, right? So this is what I've got. These are the results that I've got. So this is the title of their profile. And if you have a profile already started on Upwork, then you know what I mean. This is the title of your profile. Make note of the words they're using here too. And it is a relatively short amount of characters that you can have in there for your title. So you want to make sure that it's clear, succinct, to the point. In her case, professional female American voiceover artist. Joel up here had voiceover artist as two words, voiceover artist, professional female voiceover artist. Voiceover as one word, interesting. Voiceover as two words, professional voiceover talent. Voiceover as one word, artist. Interesting. Okay, so I'm making note of those. It looks like voiceover as two words is coming up more often. Voiceover artist, to be specific. And then also, if you have an Upwork profile, then you know there's a big description box that gives you a little bit of room to write out your experience, what you can offer the client. But when you're being searched, that description is super truncated, right? You only see the first two lines of that description. And people going through this as buyers, they're going to be looking at probably just a couple of factors. Perhaps your job success rate, perhaps your hourly rate, perhaps the intro video that is now available on there to look at. And then also those first two lines of your description. So if there's something that you specialize in, something that you want to highlight that could be a good selling point for someone to entice someone to click on your profile, make sure that information is in those first 2 lines of your description because you want them to click on your profile, right? And hopefully, once they click on your profile, they will send you an invitation to interview for the job versus you having to find the job yourself, if it's even listed, and bid on it and spend those connects. Now, for those of you that don't know, Upwork is in a lot of ways like Fiverr, if you're more familiar with Fiverr, but the main difference between the two is that Upwork has sort of an in-game currency, is the best way to describe it. They have what they call connects. And connects are like coins, basically. When you first sign up with Upwork and you take the free membership level, they give you, I believe, 50 connects to start out with for free. And then if you want to purchase more, they're about 15 cents each, if memory serves. So when you go through it after you finish your profile and completely fill it out, trust me, everywhere you go, any platform you're on, take the time to completely fill it out 100%. And we'll get back to that later. But once you're searching for a job to send a proposal on, each one of those jobs, here, let's just check one out so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's switch this to jobs. And let's just make it voiceover. And let's just select voiceover and see what comes up. Okay. I'm actually glad we went this way to show you, just so you can see what to look for and what to perhaps skip. But let's see. Which one do we want to click on here? Reading ad script repeatedly. All right, let's just do this one, just for the sake of this video. So this job is 30 seconds of adult female voiceover required for a commercial spot. Emotional and dramatic style. So let's just click on that. Now, it looks like they posted this job about an hour ago. It is open worldwide. Let's see. So this client has got 16 previous jobs. It looks like for whatever reason it's cut off here. Why is it cut off here? But anyway, if I wanted to apply to this job, make sure that it's sharing the right screen. There we go. Okay. It'll tell you how many of those connects it's going to cost you to... Actually, let's take that poll thing off the screen. Forgot to take that off. Sorry about that. So you can see, I'll highlight it up here again. It'll cost you 11 connects to bid on this job. Now, jobs from my personal experience will cost you anywhere between 5 and I've seen them as high as 20 connects to apply to or to bid on. So having a compelling enough profile on your own so people find you and send you an invitation to interview is ideal, because to interview for the job when they approach you will cost you 0 connects, will cost you none of those connects at all. The only time you're going to be spending connects is when you are bidding on a job. When you go job searching, you find something and you want to apply for it. So that is why taking the time to really focus on your profile is important, because you don't want to have to pay those connects, right? You want to keep them for when you want to go out and find something on your own. All right, so let's go back to the job here and make sure it's on the right screen. Okay, so now when you are going out to bid on a job, the things that you want to look for, let's go back to this main screen here, going back up to the top. What I look for before I even consider the job is not only is the job something that I can do? Is the job something like this, which I just do not do? I mean, what you do with your voice is your own prerogative, but I do not do anything for AI machine learning. I just don't. But if you're looking at a job that perhaps is something, in your wheelhouse, something that you're interested in doing, what I would look for is at the very least that this client has their payment method verified. Now, some people join and then because they have a job that needs to be done and they're in the middle of filling out their own profile, as we all know, that takes time. There could be a time where their payment method is unverified. But for my own peace of mind, I only stick with clients that have a verified payment method, meaning that it's locked in, right? It's locked in. I know I'm going to get paid. Now, it looks like this client is brand new. They haven't spent any money here on this platform yet, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being there first. However, it is a little bit, going back to this AI guy, it looks like he's already spent $2,000 on this platform, but has not got any reviews yet. This client has spent, I want to say that's K, but I think that's is that $7.04? I don't think that's right, but they do have reviews and you can go in, one feedback. So maybe it is $7.40. I don't know. That I've never seen that before, but you can read the feedback on the client and get an idea of who they are, how they are to work with, that kind of a thing. But going back to this one, we can look a little bit deeper into this. You can see where they're located. You can see their rating and how many people rated them. You can see how many jobs they have posted, how many are open, and how many they have hired here on this site. I think we already said this, but how much they've already spent. So they've done a lot of business here on Upwork. They've done a lot. They know how it goes. They know what to expect. So the working on this platform expectation is pretty much set, right? It looks like they have already hired 21 people. They have 10 that are active, meaning they might have open contracts for them, like that's continuing ongoing work. What kind of company it is and how many people are basically working there, and then how long they've been a member. So using all this information will give you a lot of insight into who you're working with. So let's just say, for example, you come to this page and you see they've been members of Upwork since July of last year, and their payment method is still unverified. They have no ratings. I might move on. I might move on to a different client. That's not a risk I'm willing to take, because what does that tell you, right? I mean, no shade, but I mean, if you're looking at it as a business owner, which you should be, because you are, yeah. I don't really hold the 4.7 star rating against them, because not everybody is going to be satisfied all the time. You know that as a business owner, you just can't. Everything is not going to go well 100% of the time. But it's better than a 2.7 review, right? Or rating. Going back to this job itself, now I have the Plus membership, so I have a little bit more information available to me than versus the basic profile. But I can see that what they're looking for is someone who works less, this job is going to require less than 30 hours a week. The project length is about a month or less. They're looking for an intermediate experience level, and we'll get into that in a moment. And then their hourly rate that they're willing to pay is between $15 and $40 an hour. And that is another thing. I'm going to touch on that before I forget, but that is another thing. And Fiverr just started to do this with the hourly rate. But Upwork has always been mostly hourly rate versus project, like full project like a one-time fee. What's the word I'm looking for? I think you know what I'm talking about. And now Fiverr has now started to integrate their hourly rate. But if you do get a job on Upwork, and it doesn't really apply to us as voiceover artists because we don't really work per hour, we charge per word, right? So it's a whole different structure. So most of the time we're going to be looking for work that we can send them like just one amount, or work in milestones if you need to. But it's very rare they're going to be working by the hour. But if you do get a job and the client's adamant about working by the hour, and because it has happened once or twice in my tenure on this platform, but there is a separate app that you can download for Upwork that tracks your time. You download it to your desktop, and it will, once you start working on that project, you click start, right? And you select which job you're doing. And it'll start tracking your time, but just know that that app will also take random screenshots to send to the client. So you can't just start the timer and then go eat lunch, or, play video games or something and run out the timer. You can't do that. It'll take random timed screenshots to make sure that you're doing what you say you're doing, and then send those off to the client. I didn't know that, so I'm telling you that it does that. Not that I was doing something that I shouldn't be doing, but just so you know. It'll also show you, I believe also for the basic profile, it'll also show you how many proposals have already been sent in on this job. In this case, there's been less than 5. The client seems to be pretty active viewing the proposals. It looks like they were just here 13 minutes ago looking or reviewing the auditions or the bids already sent in. But it looks like they haven't found anybody that's like in the running yet, nor have they sent out any direct interviews, as I mentioned before, where they reach out to you and then send you an invitation to interview. It looks like none have been sent because there are even none unanswered. So it looks like they're solely looking for people to come to them on this one. And you can also get a good idea of what kind of other jobs that they have booked here on this site too, which is kind of interesting to see what kind of jobs that they're looking for. You can save this job, like if you don't have time to audition perhaps right this minute, you can always save the job and then come back to all of your saved jobs later and then decide which ones you want to spend your connects on, right? You could do that too. But definitely take the time to look at all of these things before you just willy-nilly submit jobs and spend those connects, because as you know, they cost money. They're not free. Well, the first 50 are, but after that they're not. In terms of the membership plans, as I mentioned before, there is the basic account, which is free. You can buy, yes, it's 15 cents plus tax for each of the connects. They do give you an hourly protection to make sure that you're paid for each hour worked when you use that app I mentioned before that tracks time and screenshots your screen. If you do that, then they will make sure that you get paid for that time that you're tracking. Fixed price payments are secured through milestones. That's mostly what we do for audiobook and voiceover is fixed price is what I was looking for. Fixed price payments, meaning like lump sum. 5% service fee when you bring new clients to Upwork through direct contacts, and they are limited reports and functionality. I have the Plus. Currently, it's $20 a month. I get 100 new connects every month, and they expire, I think, every year. So I lose, 100 connects a month in a year from now if I don't use them. I think I had like 1,200. I thought I saw. So I have quite a bit of connects to go use, which I probably should go use. full access to their new AI, which I haven't used either. You can see competitor bids for the jobs, which kind of helps. I was hoping to see one of those earlier, but you can see what everybody else is bidding, or like a range of what everybody else is bidding, so you get an idea of, is the bid I'm sending in too high, too low? Is it, pretty much the same as everybody else? Bringing new clients to Upwork. You can customize your profile, so on and so forth. But the most advantageous part of this, I think, is having the connects, but you're essentially paying for them anyway. $20 a month, you're paying for 100 of them a month. What else? Oh, that's what I wanted to mention. When you're filling out your profile, let's go to my profile. And then we'll get to the comments and answer your questions. Your rate. I'm trying like different hourly rates, and I know we're voice actors. We don't really work with hourly rates, but that's the way Upwork is sort of set up. That's the way they are structured. They're more focused on hourly rate. But the hourly rate that you choose will help the buyer determine if you're a beginner, an intermediate, or an expert. Now, remember just a few minutes ago when we were looking at that job where the client was looking for someone intermediate, meaning that your hourly rate falls within a certain range, right? So a beginner is someone that is, their hourly rate is, I think it was between $10 and $25 an hour. An intermediate is someone to be within $25 to, I believe, $60 or $65 an hour. And then an expert is $65 an hour plus. So when a client selects that option, I'm looking for someone who is intermediate, they're going to be shown freelancers within that price range. So if you want to be making those, expert type rates, then you need to make sure that your hourly rate fits within that range, if that makes sense. Or if you're just starting out on Upwork and just like every other platform, you're looking for that social proof, you want those reviews, then start out as a beginner, but be sure that your hourly rate falls within $10 and I believe it's $25 an hour. That way you're shown to people who are looking for that beginner rate, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, but let's go over to the comments. And if you guys have any specific questions about anything that I just went through or anything else, then we'll address it then. But let's go to the comments really quick, because I see there are quite a few. There are quite a few comments, so let's go over to the comments. And yes, my camera is now in my second screen, so I'm going to be looking in a different... It's different, but it's all weird to me too. So Dwight was first in. Dwight says, "Good day, Queen Angela and all you Angelina acolytes. I hope this finds you all doing well and living your best lives." You know what? This is very uncomfortable, so I'm going to move this screen back over here so it's in my eye level. So it feels a little bit more natural. How you doing, Dwight? Dwight says, "Thought of the day, your current circumstances don't define your future. They only shape your present." Absolutely. Everything is a lesson or a blessing, which is basically how you should be thinking about everything that happens in your life. It's either something you needed to learn or experience, or something that's going to bless you in some way, shape, or form, right? But they don't define your future, but they help shape who you become. Sometimes it's a harsh lesson, but perhaps one you needed to learn to make you better. Oh, that's me. Next one is Paul. Good day, all. My experience with Upwork has been spectacularly unsuccessful, but over the past couple of weeks, I've seen a lot more interest, not sure why. It could be that the buyers are now using terms to search for talent that are in your profile. So that's not a bad thing. But I would say if you've been on this platform for a long time and you haven't seen any invitations, I mean, you could even see your stats on Upwork. You can see how many times your profile has been clicked on or how many impressions you're getting, sort of like Fiverr. You can see those kind of analytics. And if you're not seeing any traction whatsoever at all, what is it going to hurt to go in and revamp your profile? Refresh the profile pictures, refresh your demos, change up the verbiage in your description. Just like Fiverr, just side note before I forget to mention it, just like Fiverr, don't mention in there that you're in your bio, in your description, anywhere that you're brand new. Because even though you're trying to be honest, upfront, transparent, you don't want to inadvertently set the wrong expectation that you don't know what the heck you're doing, right? You don't want to do that. Instead, focus more on what you can offer and how you can solve the client's problem. Meaning, talk about your studio equipment. Talk about things that you enjoy doing. Talk about your dedicated, sound-treated, home-based studio, right? Focus on what you have to offer, not what you don't, basically, right? Having a home or a dedicated home sound-treated studio for fast turnaround or fast delivery, something to that effect. I mean, focus more on how you can solve the client's problem by getting their order to them quickly, efficiently, and professionally, right? But what would it hurt? Go in there and just refresh it. You know, refresh it. It's not going to hurt. And I also note that anytime that you go into Upwork and you just do a little bit of activity, that usually will make you active again, even for just a moment in their algorithm's eyes. So therefore push you to the front a little bit further when those terms are being searched for. So it helps just to go in there and do a little tweaking now and then just to boost your own profile. Caesar says, "Oh, hi, Angela. I've been meaning to set up an Upwork profile, but I've been getting a lot of work through direct contacts and referrals. Even better. I figure I should get that and Fiverr started soon. You might not even need these at this point, but it wouldn't hurt to have active profiles at some point. So, you know, probably wouldn't hurt, but do you need them? You? Probably not." That said, hello everyone. I just placed an order for a hardware opto compressor and 88-key MIDI keyboard. Of course you did. Ready to expand my business this year with some passion projects. I'm excited for you, Caesar. It's fun. Dylan's here. Hey, Dylan, where you been, Dylan? Dylan says, "Morning all. I have had success on Upwork. Sadly, now it seems like you have to invest a little money to get started. I'm lucky enough that my income from it covers expenses with a little bit of profit left." That's the trade-off, right? I mean, not to sound cliche, but it is the cost of doing business. There's always a cost to doing business. Every arm of this wheel has a cost in some way, shape, or form to keep this business running. It just does. It's just business. Joe says, "Morning all." Morning, Joe. Dwight says, "Hey gang, do Angela a favor by tickling those like buttons. And the subscribe and the notification bell, all the things. They all help. Trust me. Who doesn't like a little tickle once in a while?" Okay. No, it's now no Dwight. No Dwight. Behave yourself. Make me get the hose. Dwight says, "Hi, Paul, Caesar, Dylan, and Joe. Nice to see you all." Joe says, "Done for tickling the buttons." Thank you. Joe says, "To Spicy Caesar, congrats on the compressor. That'll likely be my first piece of outboard gear." Let's see if we can find, we got a lot of comments. Let me see if I can find some questions. Looks like lots of conversations in the chat. Let's see. My cup of tea says, howdy y'all, glad to be part of the stream today. It's your birthday? Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. So you're a Taurus, right? Taurus. David said, hello from Hamilton, Ontario. K last name. How you doing? My volume is low. Okay. Is my volume still low? Is it because I was turned away? I did adjust some audio settings. Is my volume okay? Morning, morning. Dylan says, Upwork is like anything else. You need to audition often. However, since it costs connects, i.e. money for each audition, you need to be very specific about the jobs you audition for. Better yet, have a profile compelling enough that they come to you. Although, as we just saw, not everybody searches out talent. Some companies just sit back and wait for the talent to come to them, right? Volume seems to be low. All right. Hang on. I wonder if I can fix that right meow. Hold on. Is that better? I just turned it up like 20. I don't know I don't think those are dB. I hope not. All right. Let me know if that's any better. Paul's here. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Let's see. Dylan then says, make sure you are a fit for what they are looking for. Yeah, especially if it's going to cost you connects. Right? You don't want to just willy-nilly spend those on something that, I mean, you think you might be good for, but I mean, it's not quite what they're looking for, but you really want it. I mean, spend your connects on what they're looking for. Even though you really, really want the job, but they're looking for a male and you're female or vice versa, save your connects. Save those connects for something that's, that's not going to waste your connects. I just wanted to see any other comments on my volume. Volume's fine. Okay. Is it better now? Check to be sure that the payment is verified. As we mentioned before, definitely look for that at the very least. Make sure that their payment method is verified. Don't waste your time if they already have somebody hired unless you have a killer demo. Avoid that. Already gave 20 to 50 proposals or jobs that were interviewing 5+. Outbid jobs if it won't cost a lot and you think it fit what you're looking for. If you have the membership account, what was it called? Is it still up? Not the basic, not the free one, but if you have the paid membership on Upwork where you can see what other people are bidding, is what he means. If you can see that, then outbid them, right? You could even spend a few extra connects to be put like at the top of the client's list, things like that. But they, again, cost you connects. So you have to make sure that it's worth it and something that is, I mean, be honest with yourself. Is it something that you fit? Because your voice isn't going to be right for everything all the time or every time, right? So be smart about how you spend those, basically. Becca Sue says, good morning all. I wasn't sure about how legit Upwork was. It's very legit. It's very legit. A lot of people, when it comes to freelance marketplaces, I find that it's either everybody's in one of two camps, right? They do really well on Fiverr, but then not so well on Upwork, or vice versa. They do really well on Upwork, but not so well on Fiverr. It's just the way that it goes. But Upwork is a very big deal. Both of those platforms have Fortune 500 companies seeking out talent on them. So they are both very legit. You just have to learn the individual algorithm game on both platforms and make sure that you play it, right? Both platforms, you want to fill out your gigs and your profiles completely. Don't let Don't leave anything undone. Make sure that everything is filled out. Because as we've discussed before, the algorithm will recognize if your profile is completely filled out, you're going to be shown to more people. Because if you think about it from the platform's perspective, if they spend millions of dollars in advertising to get companies to come find freelancers on their sites, they're not going to show profiles that are half filled out or missing information, have one audio file on it, no video, no description. That's embarrassing. Why would they want to showcase that to someone that they worked hard to get to come and look at their site? So if your profile is completely filled out, that looks better for them. That looks better for Upwork. That looks better for Fiverr. So they're going to show those profiles more often to those people that they advertise to come to their site. So take the time and fill out everything on your profiles, on your gigs, whatever it is that you're starting, completing, filling out, fill it out completely. I might have to get an honest try now. It's worth it. It's definitely worth the time, for sure. Becca Sue. Hey, Rebecca. Paul says, regarding Upwork search, interested to see that the results I'm seeing are different to what you're seeing. I mean, it could be. It could be. I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of a algorithm purpose. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Maybe it's my individual search settings, perhaps. I don't know. Could be. Sage1 says, good afternoon, everyone. Where's my chapstick? Got it. I haven't set up an Upwork profile yet. I'm still working on learning how to edit audio and do it to the current standard before I set up my profile. No, set up your profile. Set up your profile. Because the sooner you join, the less of a newbie you appear to be, if that makes sense. So if you sign up in May, but you don't really get to a point where you're feeling super satisfied and comfortable with audio editing until October, then anyone looking at you in November is going to go, oh, they just joined last month. They might not know what the heck they're doing. But if they see that you joined in May, they're like, oh, okay, they've been on this profile or on this platform for a while. They know what they're doing by this point. Right? Sign up now. Fill out your profile now. And don't set that as a limiting belief that I don't know how to edit audio yet, so I shouldn't make myself visible. Baloney. Make yourself visible yesterday. You'll have plenty of time still to be able to learn what you need to learn, but set up those profiles, set up your website, set up those things that make you visible and professional looking, and then fine-tune your craft along the way. Don't wait. Don't ever wait. Voiceover Van Deen says, it's worth me having a profile focused on my specific local accent. Geordie, Northumberland, etc., but for all general approaches, I reject over 90% due to low budget or crazy intended usage. I usually get an Upwork, and I'm not super active on Upwork right now, but I usually still get an invitation, at least 1 or 2 a week. And I would have to say 40% of those are for some sort of machine learning. But the other ones are pretty legit. I just don't either have the bandwidth, the time, or whatever it is, or the specific accent they're looking for, whatever it is. So it's not all garbage. It's not all, I mean, if you consider AI, machine learning kind of jobs garbage, it's up to you. Your prerogative. You do what you want to do, but I don't do it. So I don't want his comment to dissuade you is what I'm looking at. There's a lot of good work to be found on any platform. You just have to do a little extra work to find it. But go into everything with an open mind. Katya's here, a little late today. You know what happens when you're late to the live stream? Donuts. You bring And enough to share for everybody. There's about 48 people watching right now, so a few dozen will do. Discord, okay, you guys are still talking to you. Hey, look, there's Joy. Hey, Joy. Hi, Joy. Hello, everyone, from a cold, rainy Southfield, Michigan. Voiceover Van Deen says, I see lowball jobs just like this one. 11 connects to bid for a 30-second commercial spot, which will pay you $15, $40 minus the Upwork service charge. Yeah, I mean, without getting into price wars or anything like that, I always tell people run your business the way that you want to do it, right? Listen to everybody's advice online, and some people are a little bit more passionate about their opinions than others, but ultimately it's your business. You do what you want to do. That could be the thing that, even though it's not weighted quite right to Voiceover Van Deen's point, but it could lead into a beautiful long-term client that perhaps has bigger projects down the line. I mean, you never know, but make your own conclusions and make your own decisions about what risks you're willing to take, because that too is, what happens or what comes with running a business. Is it sometimes you're going to have to make quick decisions, some educated, some shots in the dark, but those are the risks that you're going to be faced with. So that's a decision that everybody has to make on their own, right? Depending on usage, that could be a multi-$1,000 job via an agent or pay to play with an option on yearly renewals. Yeah, it could go a lot of different ways, right? Joy says, clients whose payment hasn't been verified, has no past jobs, are usually a red flag for me, and I just move on. Yeah, same. I mean, they might finish their profile and fill all that stuff out later, and then, maybe. But it's just my own decision for my own peace of mind. I'm with you, Joy, I'm with you. Miss Alicia says, hello, Angela, watching you on my bus journey home. From where? Where are you going? From work to home? Where are you going? Caesar says, happy birthday, my cup of tea. May your day be filled with cake balloons or cake-filled balloons. Whatever you like. Or balloon-filled cake. No, that wouldn't be good. Nikki says, thought low volume was my phone, but yes, volume seems low to me. Okay. Katya says, again, my apologies for hopping on late. I mean, you just got to bring the donuts, Not sure if you already mentioned, is it best to manually fill out your profile rather than upload my LinkedIn? If there's a way to save you some time, perhaps to, in copying over, filling out that way, like kind of replicating what's on another platform, you can do that. But just make sure that whatever platform that you're currently filling out a profile for, you take the time to fill that out completely. You can use the same information from a different platform, no problem. But just make sure that you go through and fill in all the blanks. Right? On Upwork. Kay last name said, this is so helpful as I prep to begin. So glad I found you. I'm glad you did too. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad to be of help. Do you guys have any questions about Upwork specifically? Anything about further information about, I don't know, anything? I mean, if you're in the middle of filling out your profile but maybe got stuck somewhere, let me know. Rochelle says, good morning, Angela and everyone. Happy to be here, new to this forum. Welcome. I have GarageBand, and on ACX, should I get profiles on Upwork and the others? Yes. When I started in July of 2017, the first 3 platforms that I signed up for were Fiverr, Upwork, and ACX, not in that order. I believe it was ACX, Fiverr, then Upwork. Those are the 3 that I started with, and then I slowly started to branch out everywhere else. but I saw the most traction with ACX and Fiverr. Upwork started to come in a little bit later, and I still have a handful of like repeat clients on Upwork that I've been working with for years now. And every once in a while they'll say, hey, I need this, and hey, I need this. That's basically how Upwork is for me now. I don't really go in, as you could tell by my all my accumulated bids. I'm not in there a whole lot with proposals, but it's nice to know that I can when I need to, right? But definitely sign up for those three. And they do take time. Fiverr and Upwork, building out your profiles, it's tedium. It is. And you can use the same information like thumbnails, images, bio verbiage, whatever it is. You can use that same information. But make sure that you fill it out completely, both of them. I like the way Joe's thinking. Beer-filled balloons, that could be a lot of trouble, though. Sage says, I hadn't thought of it that way. Oh, good. Good. You know me, thinking outside the box and then spreading the sauce, giving you guys the sauce. Thank you for saying don't wait. Yeah, don't. What are you waiting for? Don't ever wait on, that. Say it with me, people. It's procrastinating. You're holding yourself back, telling yourself that you haven't learned this yet, or I don't have this yet, or I haven't learned this yet, or I haven't perfected, as much as I hate that word, perfected this yet. So I can't do this, or I can't go here, or I can't go there, or I can't talk to this person, or I can't learn from this person, whatever it is. That's procrastinating. You're telling yourself that you can't. You're holding yourself back. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. There's nobody telling you can't but you. You're making all of those restrictions for yourself. So just go do it. You'll learn everything that you need to learn along the way. And there may be even some things that you didn't realize you needed to learn until you get to that point. And you can't get to that point unless you're involved, unless you're doing it, unless you're building it. You're doing the things. See, holding yourself back can slow you way down without you even realizing it. And you're doing it to yourself. Don't do that. Don't hinder your own success. Eric says, hello, Angela. Eric Grimes. I had to say it. Eric Grimes. Hello, Angela. And all I really need to try Upwork. I'll look into it. I appreciate the information. And for those of you that are on Fiverr, Upwork, you'll be pleased to know that Upwork is a little less stringent. Dare I say militant? A little less big brothery than Fiverr. And I understand every platform has their own security protocols for their own reasons. I get that. I respect that. You can't hate on them for picking a structure. Everybody has a different way of doing business. You just have to understand how it works and play the game, basically. But that's what I have found about Upwork. It's a little more lenient. I don't know if that's the best word, but easier. Katya says, I'll bring tardy to the party, Krispy Kreme donuts next week. All varieties. And thanks for encouraging us to get our Upwork profiles. It is what I'm here for. Word. Dwight says, are there any books or documents that go in depth about how to succeed in Upwork? No, none that I'm aware of, other than my own wisdom that I have shared here on YouTube. I did have an Upwork course, but it's outdated. I need to update that too. That's something else I definitely need to work on. But if you want in-depth, personalized information, you could always book a half an hour with me. If you're interested in that, I can help you with your ACX profile, your Fiverr profile, your Upwork profile, whatever it is that you need help with. Just go to my website, voiceoverangela.com, and book a session with me. Book a 30-minute with me, and I'll be glad to personalize it for you. Help you personalize it. You know what I mean. K last name says, what is the Upwork service fee generally? Also, does Upwork allow your connects to continue year to year, or do they time out after 6 months a year? That's a great question. The Upwork service fee is going to depend on a couple of different factors. It depends on whether you're a free member or a paid membership. It also is going to depend on how long you've been working with this client. It's also going to depend on how large the contract is. So it's anywhere from 5% to, I believe, 20%. So much like Fiverr. So no more than what Fiverr already charges, because as you know, Fiverr takes $1 for every 5 that you make, so 20% out of every deal. And then Upwork is the same or less, depending on the other factors. And then the connects, it's a great question. I want to say, I know for the paid membership, the connects roll over month after month, and they expire after a year. So the 100 connects that were deposited into my account of May of last year will expire at the end of this month, if that makes sense. Otherwise, they roll over. So if you never use them, you'll have about 1,300 connects in your account to use. So you could go crazy with proposals in one day if you wanted to. But for the basic or the free, I want to say those also expire after a year, but obviously they don't accumulate. So if you were to sign up for an Upwork account, you get the 50 free. I believe they give you 50 free to start with, and then you decided to purchase a handful more, you should still have those, and then they expire after a year, I believe. But be sure to, I mean, as with anyone online, double check all the information, double check your own information. Because everyone is not always right all the time, but I believe that's the case. Voiceover Van Deen says, I'm not knocking. Oh, that's not what I was implying. My biggest client uses Upwork, but I met them off-platform well before I joined. Just encouraging folks to use it with their eyes open and not give away their voice, especially. Oh, 100%. I wasn't talking specifically to you. I just meant generally speaking. You just reminded me to make that point. But, no worries. Joe says, pro job on the eye makeup today. Well, thank you. Timing out if they aren't used. You mean like expiring, right? The connects expiring. I think they expire after a year. Make me so self-conscious, Joe. Rochelle says, on Upwork and other platforms, is it safe to go ahead and put your bank info to assure payments? And thank you, set up on both Upwork and Fiverr. I use PayPal. I don't want to give my direct bank information to any platform, but that's me. I'm one of those that trust but verify, but I would be a lot more comfortable if I didn't have to give a platform my direct banking information. I would much rather have a buffer, and that buffer is PayPal. So that way everything gets deposited into PayPal from those platforms, and then I can just grab it from PayPal and deposit it wherever I want it to go. Right? So that's what I recommend. That's what I have done. But again, it's your business. You do it as you want to. I think the only place where that is not an option is ACX for the royalty payments. But it's Amazon, it's Audible. I think that's fine. Don't really have another choice other than physical check, I believe. Karina says, hi all. What a great message. I've definitely been delaying my start in favor of I'm still learning. Basically, what you're saying is make like Nike and just do it. Exactly. Exactly. Don't wait for permission that may never come. Give yourself permission to do it. You don't need, you're an adult. You're a whole adult. You don't need someone else's permission to do something. Just do it. Don't tell yourself you can't either. Don't justify it by saying to yourself, I don't know this, or I don't have yet. Always end your sentences with yet. I don't have this yet. I haven't learned this yet, right? Positivity, people, will completely change your life. Old Dog New Trick says, have to go back to work. Thank you for all the info. Have a great week. Yes, you too. Enjoy your day. Voiceover Vandine says, starting May 1st, new contracts will face fees tied to skill demand, ranging from 0 to over 15%. Existing contracts will stick to the 10% rate until they end, giving you a buffer if you're midway. Yeah, there's a lot of like little... That's the one thing about Upwork, I think, is that they keep changing little things like this. That's just so hard to keep track of. I don't know. Maybe I'm just stuck in my ways. Call it what you want to, but it's irritating. But it is what it is, right? And so those are the things that you sort of have to keep on top of. You know. What are connects? Girl. Connects is sort of like their in-game currency. It's like coins, right? You need a certain amount of coins or connects to bid on jobs. And jobs will usually have, to bid on a specific job, they usually will range from 6 connects to, I think I've even seen as high as 20 connects. So that's what connects are. It's sort of like their in-game currency to send in bids or proposals on jobs. Froggy. Rochelle says, excellent on PayPal. I'll put bank info only on ACX. Yeah, whenever PayPal is an option, I use it. Yes. Dwight says, I agree with you regarding banking info. I use PayPal for invoicing, PayPal and Venmo for accounts receivable. I was just approached by a VO paywall scammer yesterday. Be careful out there. They're everywhere. Voiceover Vandine to Rochelle says, check out Wise rather than suffer the high percentage PayPal service charges. I have heard of Wise quite a bit with my overseas clients. The only thing is that Wise isn't, and I'm telling you why I haven't gone that direction. Maybe it'll be an option at some point, but most of the platforms that I work with a lot only use PayPal or even Payoneer in some instances. But PayPal is the one that is used across the board. And just to make my life as simple as possible with money coming in and going out of one place, of one buffer to my bank account, that is PayPal. So that is why I use PayPal. But I have heard of Wise more and more often with my overseas clients. I don't own a Neumann U87AI yet. It's definitely on my list. That is definitely a yet. It's my dream mic too. I almost pulled the trigger on a used one a couple of years ago. It was a great deal, but it's a lot of money. Joel says, hey, Angela, everyone. I've done a few things on Upwork, but definitely have to keep an eye out. Lots of people want work done next to free. Yeah, a lot of people do, and a lot of people understand the value and what the price ranges of voiceover work should be, but it's generally a little bit harder to find those people on freelance marketplaces. You'll usually find those people with making direct connections with them through agents. So, I mean, consider where you're trying to find work in clientele, and that's kind of the trade-off, right? If you're picking up what I'm putting down. So Dylan says, my wife tells me I'm an adult, but I haven't earned all of the decision-making privileges yet. I don't know. I'm sorry, Dylan. I think the combo slushy ice cream label maker I bought is awesome. That's pretty awesome, Dylan. I ain't gonna lie. That's pretty awesome. Reading time with Poppy, says Alex here. Hey, Alex. This topic is timely. Once I get past Fiverr's technical difficulties and start that profile, Upwork and ACX are next. Good. Van Deen says, Upwork is constantly morphing, tweaking things. Yeah, it's hard to stay on track of everything, or on top of everything. They've massively cut staff lately, shut down the forums, changed percentage service fees, etc., etc. Now a publicly listed company, I believe so, answering to shareholders. Poppy's got donuts and chocolate milk. Got the chalky milk. Don't forget to grab a napkin. Joe says, I've used Wise for about 10 years now. Highly okay. I mean, that's great. I mean, the more and more encouragement, or the more and more I hear about Wise, I like it. I just wish it was a option for payment on all the profiles or all of the platforms that I use. Otherwise, it's just not. So until it is, I'm just going to go where things make things easy for me, basically, because there's, being a single person business owner, there's a lot of places that demand your attention all throughout the day, every day. It's exhausting. So if I can have just one place where all my money goes in, comes out, it just makes my life so much easier. It's just one less thing to have to go find, track, chase down, monitor, Joe says they will even give you local account numbers in British pound, USD, and some others. I mean, I think most of them do, though, don't they? Yes, definitely a trade-off and a great place to meet some new clients that come back. If a platform supports bank transfer, it will support Wise. Okay. Well, then maybe that's my sign to learn more about Wise then. But this is another great reason that it's important to get together as a community and talk about a few topics, right? Is to learn about new things together. Because I don't ever claim to know everything about everything. There could be, VoiceOver Van Deen and a few other people have come in clutch with a few great things that have sparked my interest. Things that I want to look into. And if I didn't do these live chats, then I wouldn't have known. So I'm hoping that either something I said or somebody in chat said was helpful to you. As always, if there's something that you want to learn more about, if there's something that you want to learn more about or talk about as a group or a community, then please let me know. These live chats are for you guys. So if there's something that you want to learn more about or talk about as a group to get multiple perspectives on, then, put it in the comments, put it in the chat, put it in the comments below if you're watching this in Team Replay. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube-y things to help boost my algorithm. What am I forgetting? Otherwise, I'll be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And I think we're going to call it for today. So I'll see you guys all next week. I'll see the majority of you in our Platinum Group meeting on Thursday. I'll see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.